Hey everyone, Rachel here from the Five-ish Fangirls. Welcome to a Little Extra Squee. If you're not familiar, this is when we have a little something extra that we could not fit into our regular episode, so these go up as a kind of bonus episode for you guys to listen to. And in this case, these are the interviews that I collected at this year's Gen Con, 2018 Gen Con. If you have not already listened to that episode where we have guest Beth from the Crafty Nerd, she and I tell our experiences at this year's Gen Con. You can always find it at our website, the5ishfangirls.com, or wherever you download your podcasts. So with this little extra squee, you are going to hear 4 different interviews. Well, technically 3 interviews and then a demo, 2 demos. So, well, there are some demos other involved. Anyway, I'll explain here in a second. So you are going to hear me talking with Andrew and George from Sensible Object, where we talk about their games that they were showing at Gen Con. Then you'll hear my discussion with Tyler from Upper Deck, where we talk about a lot of Upper Deck products. Then Luke with Fantasy Flight Interactive, talking about the Lord of the Rings digital card game. Excuse me. And then the last kind of clip, I guess, that you're going to hear is my demos that I did with Paradox Interactive, where we do an actual demo of their games Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis. And those are not necessarily me talking to them, because I was there with a handful of other press people, and they were just talking about the games and allowing us to try them while they had a room set up at a restaurant nearby. So that's slightly less one-on-one. It's not one-on-one at all. So you'll hear my voice, you'll hear the voices of some of the other people there that were doing the demos, and the voices of several of the people from Paradox Interactive. So hopefully you guys enjoy these. And as always, links to all these companies can be found in the show notes. So enjoy. So let's start with introducing yourself.
So hi, I'm Andrew Marks. I'm with Sensible Object, and I'm with a bunch of our teammates here. I've got Tim Burrell-Sayward here, who's our lead physical designer. I've got George Buckingham back there, who's our one of our lead game designers. And I have Anna Dukakis here, who is our content producer, and does a bunch of stuff there.
And you all have really fun accents.
Yes, we're a London-based studio. We
Nice.
work out of Somerset House. It's our first time at Gen Con, so we're super excited to be
Cool. Well,
meeting
welcome.
a bunch of fans and meeting a bunch of potential new fans. as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what do we have here?
So we've got a copy of Beasts of Balance in front of us right now. So the way the game works is you add physical pieces to a tower, and they come to life in a digital world. So we have time to go through a demo. I can totally show you. I'd love to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got 2 game modes. We've got cooperative mode, which is where the game was originally released, and we have battles mode as well. We'll probably start with the co-op game and see how that works. So in cooperative mode, players work together to achieve the highest score.
Okay.
And they do this by adding beasts to the tower. So
First of all, I love the colors on this. This is just, it's so bright, and
our Our lead
I love it.
artist, Lyle McCarthy, is incredibly talented. Yeah, he's such a
It's just this.
With a couple, with two artists, a physical designer and a 2D artist, a game designer, and then a lead programmer. So it was from that we created the first version of Beast of Balance.
Yeah, I'll make sure to take some pictures, but for those that may be listening to this and aren't seeing the pictures, it's like, how big's the mat?
I don't know. I'd say maybe 2 by 2
Number
feet.
of players.
2 foot, 2 foot by 2 foot, so about the size of something you'd see on like a dinner plate setting, I guess. So, but it's just one of those non-slick mats like you see for like Magic and all that, except this one's square, and it's got this beautiful like pastel bright design to it with the logo, and then you've got the whatever this is called.
The magical plinth
Okay.
that you place the pieces onto.
Okay, very cool. And then we got all the beasts.
These are the beasts. So if I add a token to the tower,
Okay.
you scan the piece. All the pieces have NFC chips in them.
And it popped up on the screen.
And you can also create hybrid beasts as well. So if I added a shark to the tower, and then I added a cross piece, that would take the toucan, and it would take the shark, and it would create an entirely new beast, which is going to be called, that takes the toucan, takes the shark, adds all their points together, and it creates a shikari, which is a toucan-shark hybrid. And then as the game continues, some of the beasts lose points due to jealousy, and we have to keep them alive by using these colorful pieces here. So our toucan is down to 1 point because he's jealous of our fabulous shikari. So to bring our toucan up and back to points, we use the air element. So a good score for a first game is probably around 20 to 30 points. An experienced player may get 200 to 300 points, and the world high score is 1,482 points.
Wow.
And that just kind of speaks to the depth of the gameplay. A big tower doesn't always necessarily mean a big score, and the physical digital interactions are like totally together. So it's a game that couldn't exist without the physical and the digital components. So this is cooperative mode. Basically, players work together, taking turns adding pieces to the tower to get the highest score. And we also have battles mode, which I might have mentioned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to collapse the tower.
Oh no!
So when the tower collapses, I know, it's tragic. Our beasts are currently floundering.
The
under a
volcano is about ready to.
So when the tower collapses, you have 7 seconds to rebuild, and the game keeps track of all of your, your high score, the number of beasts that you've unlocked.
Okay.
With the addition of our new beasts, we have over 250 hybrid beasts to discover as you play the game, which is super fun. So that's cooperative mode. Battles mode is something we're super excited about. We had a lot of feedback from our players saying they really wanted to, get to grips and sort of duke it out as malevolent, mischievous gods. Yeah. So we've gone and built it. So battles mode works between 2 to 3 players. Each player kind of picks a region of the world, so you can be the sky, land, or sea guardian. You begin the game, and we have released a bunch of new NFC-enabled battle cards. So you draw the cards into your hand by actually scanning them on the tower. So as you scan the cards, the game remembers which player has which cards, and then the game continues in using all the same pieces that you would play in the cooperative mode. So you're taking turns adding beasts to the tower, trying to get the highest score now for your region as opposed to the whole.
Okay.
The cards can be played at any time as well, which adds to a lot of chaos. So you've got some people smiting beasts and then other players countering that, or while it's someone else's turn who has no interest in the battle.
Oh.
And so this is we kickstarted this last summer. We've been developing it for the last year. It's finally out. The battles mode is available to play, and then you can order the battle cards as an expansion pack.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have a bunch of new beasts as well, including 3 legendary beasts. So we've got a unicorn, Moby Brick the space whale, and Hotbelly the hangry dragon. So they have unlock requirements as you add them to the worlds. They need to, so in order to play them, you need to achieve objectives in the game. So that adds like an extra layer of strategy on top of an already pretty mischievous game.
Right.
And then on top of that, we also have a copy of some 3 new beasts as well. So we have the fabulous sassy flamingo, we've got the creepy anglerfish, and the impossibly cute chameleon as well. So yeah, so that's Beast of Balance. It's a game that was our first product. So the reason why we're here at Gen Con in the first place, we're incredibly proud of it. We're so supportive of our community that have just been telling us so many wonderful things since we released it nearly 2 years ago.
So where did the idea for a game that essentially uses physical elements, but then you also have this tablet, so you're running a digital aspect to it, and you've got the plinth, and it's got the scan element to it. So where did the idea come from to create something with just so many pieces to it?
So I think, when we were founded, we really wanted to create games that use technology that's kind of in everyone's homes, but use it in a way that creates that sort of face-to-face fun interaction, right? So a lot of families these days, it's quite isolated using technology, right? It's face-to-screen, everyone kind of goes and has their own screen. But we think technology is great, and we think that we should be using it to bring people together. And a tabletop game is such a historically fun, natural interaction.
Right.
So why not introduce technology into that? As far as the sort of technical development, there was a long period of time where we weren't quite sure how all those pieces kind of fit together. So we went through a lot of iterations. Originally, it was a very complex sort of strategy game, and then we pared it down to the core elements of you put a thing on the tower, it comes to life in the world, and then we kind of just rebuilt the game from there. That was kind of the inspiration. We also have another game coming out, this probably seems worth mentioning, which is a game called When in Rome. I've actually joined our lead designer here, George, is probably a great person to talk to about When in Rome, get a different voice going. George, I don't know if you'd like to say a few words about When in Rome.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
Hello.
So When in Rome has just come out like last month, pretty much.
All right.
It's the first board game that works with Amazon Alexa. It's a game for two teams. It's kind of a family-friendly game where each of you are one of these little aeroplanes here, and you travel around the world, flying from city to city. These little aeroplanes here.
Yeah.
You travel around the world, flying from city to city. When you land in a city, you answer questions from a local, and these are recorded questions from locals who are actually from these 20 cities around the world.
Oh, wow.
Who ask you trivia questions from their city. If you get the questions right, you make friends with them.
Cool.
Put a little buddy on the board, and there's some souvenirs scattered around the board you can see. So if you land in the city with a souvenir, then you can claim the souvenir, and then the game ends when the third souvenir has been collected, gets spawned. So the whole game is hosted by Alexa. So Alexa tells you how to play, runs the rounds, gives you the questions, all of that kind of stuff.
Right. Cool.
You ever played the game?
Very cool. Yeah, I know the smart home speakers are becoming very, very popular. I don't have one, but I know they're becoming quite popular. I know people that have, I have one in every room. So that's very cool that you got Alexa doing something besides, hey Alexa, check the weather.
Yeah. There's definitely a thing of like people get Alexas and they're like, this is cool, but actually what am I? So
what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, buy this game, and that's what you can do with it.
There you go.
But yeah, there's also a thing of just like, if you've got this technology around in your home, then you might as well play it, might as well use it to inject voices from around the world into a board game.
Yeah.
Do other kind of stuff like that with it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Okay.
Very cool. So for our listeners that will hear this after Gen Con, where can my listeners find more information?
Sure. So our website's a pretty good place to start. So there's beastsofbalance.com and there's voiceoriginals.com. So When in Rome is Voice Originals, which is going to be our series of games that will work with this kind of voice platform. So
cool.
Yeah, you should be able to find all of the details there.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, now we're good to go.
Okay, so I'm Tyler. I'm the entertainment marketing manager here with Upper Deck, and we're here at Gen Con, and we're doing several new releases. One of the hot ones that everyone's talking about right now is the MCU, the Legendary MCU 10th Anniversary Edition that we have. It uses a bunch of the movie stills from the movies.
Nice.
And it's a reimagining of the core set, so people that are big fans of the MCU can come in and get that experience and see the actors and all the scenes from the movies that they love.
Yep.
But it's also a good way, I've been talking to a lot of people, to bring in your friends who maybe aren't as into the comic side of it, and they know the movies, and it's a good way to re-go through that.
Okay.
We also have the, as a little side note to that, we have the Spider-Man Homecoming, which has the movie stills as well, which people are like, I don't want to mix it with these. Totally fine. Some people have no problem with it, but now you have a core set that you can add. That is basically, we had a pre-expansion for it. So that's one that's been really popular, and it is a little bit of a limited edition, and it's available here. We've also got the Legendary Encounters X-Files. Fantastic version of the Encounters system. Yeah, we have the lanyards.
On the lanyard.
We've had some people come over like, this is on the lanyards. I didn't even know you were making it. Show me it. And so we're demoing it here as well. And the cool thing about it is that it, much like all of the Encounter system games, you play more against the story, which works so well here because you play as the characters, and they each have their abilities, and those are tied into, you have a stack of doubts and a stack of truths. Beliefs. And those will trigger good things for you if it's a belief, and if it's a doubt, it forces a bad thing upon you. And then, and aside to that, as you're playing through the story deck and playing against the story, there's sort of a big bad boss that you fight against for each of those scenarios. And the way that plays out, the character itself is already difficult, but throughout the game, you have on the side, there's a sideboard of face-down evidence cards, and those are revealed through playing through the missions. And when regardless of what happens, those three are going to be the mechanics that make it more difficult. So if you play with tech cards and you built a deck around tech cards and an evidence is over there that says your tech cards, is immune to your tech cards, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So you reveal that evidence and say, oh crap, okay, maybe I'm not going to recruit them. Or there's an additional mechanic to actually, once you've revealed the evidence, to get it out of the game. Okay. So then you can kick that away if it's a really, really tough thing. And some abilities to let you do things like, I believe there was one of the cards, I believe it's a Scully card, will let you kick out that evidence and replace it with a new one randomly. So if it's really, really bad, you can take your chances and pull one that's not even in the game to come in and affect it. And then the other big aspect and new thing of the game is so that when the bad guys come out, they're all face down, and when all of the recruit guys, the people that you want to bring in to recruit, are face down as well. And you have to scan those with recruit points to reveal them on the recruitment side in the agency, and then out in the shadows is what we call it. Those guys you have to scan with attack, and that's one of the co-op elements, because if I can only do 3 damage this turn, I'll scan that 3, and then on your turn you get the 3 damage to kill the guy once we know what it is.
Right.
But in true X-Files fashion, we've also got some good guys that will mix into to the evil pile, and some good guys are going to come in or some bad guys will come into the mix with the within your agency, and so you never know who to trust. Everything's face down. That's what's great. So you'll reveal someone in the shadows, like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to fight him, and you reveal it. It's actually an informant that's going to say, while he's in the shadows, every single person in the game draws an extra card when it resets. So and then now you're incentivized to make sure he doesn't go out to the field, because you don't fight him away. No one's going to attack him. Well, some cards may kill him, but in general, his ability will go away when he hits the field, stuff like that. Or if someone comes up, you're trying to recruit, like, oh, I need a new guy. Who is this? Oh, it's an enemy I have to deal with. So there's some nice little, surprises that will get thrown your way. Another cool new feature with it is that in the recruit row, when you're going to recruit anything, everything is slotted out, and so when you recruit from them, in addition to getting the card, there will be some action that will happen as well. So on the leftmost side, for example, when you recruit there, the card you just recruited goes on the bottom of your deck instead of your discard. The next slot over, boom, buy it, it goes on top of your deck. The far right one, because the game uses a strike system, which is your wounds and how much health you have, the far right, when you grab something from there, it does have a higher scan cost, so it's tougher to reveal, takes more recruit, but when you recruit there, heal a strike. So there's a lot of different things that kind of add new ways to interact with the game just right within there. And then we've also got our big release, our big original IP release is Dark Legacy: The Rising. We've themed the whole booth in it, which you guys can see, I'm sure, on this recording.
Yeah. I'm always excited to see what your guys' booth looks like every year.
Yeah, we're known for it, and it's hopefully we didn't disappoint. I think it looks pretty cool. So Dark Legacy: The Rising is a constructed deck card game, but it also brings in, it's a mix with tabletop RPG elements. So it's a ton of fun in that regard, and it really brings in some different ways that you can play. So as you're playing, you're on this world. The world is Titan, and it's been plagued with the war. There's 6 different factions, which, each faction will have a little bit of a different play style. When you start the game, you can play with any of them that you want, mix it into a deck, you're level 1. As you play through and win games, you start to level up. When you reach level 5, you swear allegiance to a faction and use cards just from them, but you get access to these more powerful cards. You also are represented in the game as yourself. The game uses a playmat. The left half is like your character sheet, where you have weapons and armor that you equip, augments, relics, all that sort of stuff. And then on the right side, you have these slots for your permanents, like your creatures and things to come out. And there's even the flexibility. There's a slot for playing your instance, but maybe you just want to be more creature focused. it's an extra spot you can lock up for creatures, but you lose access to instants to play when it's not your turn. So you get some more offensive strategy, but you're less reactive.
Right.
The other elements that we bring in from tabletop, other than the level system, also as you level, you'll gain abilities, and when you've leveled up, now you get to look at the top card of the deck at the beginning of the game, or maybe on another level you'll get to start with 2 extra cards. So you get different achievements and unlocks that'll happen. It's really cool. But the other tabletop element is the D20. Bringing in dice to the game, which some people hate, but tabletop gamers love dice. We've got crits, you've got epic fails in this game. So when I have my creatures or myself and I'm attacking you, when we come in, the dice are, fate's still going to play a hand with the dice. Now that being said, there are ways to mitigate through skills and card effects, and there's ways to, get around that. But it's also another way if you're playing with a group of friends. Say I'm level 3 and you're level 7. We don't want the level 7 player to always beat the level 3 player, because that's just not going to be a fun game.
Right.
So when you add in the dice mechanics, it adds that fun tension of like going up against the David and Goliath scenario and really being able to take them down. So that's a lot of fun too. And we're releasing that one essentially 3 sets of starters. They're paired off, sort of opposing factions. There's Earth versus Wind, Tech versus Chaos, and Divine versus Darkness. And each of those come with set decks that you can play with, the dice and the counters and everything, the play mats. We've got premium accessories for all the factions, so once you decide what faction you love, you can totally bling it out. And then there's expansions as well. We've got, the way that we're doing the expansions is they contain cards. First expansion, level 5 to 7.
Okay.
Second expansion, 8 to 12, and 13 to 20 on the other one. And each one of those sets will contain cards for everybody, for each faction. And then so you get those, you can start to level up and really go through. Now, if you're not the type that wants to grind through some campaign and I just want to play with all the fun stuff, you can totally just let's play level 20, let's play level 10. You build a deck for that, and then you just go, play each other. It's totally fine. So that way it really hits both sides of the spectrum. And it is a competitive game, so it plays right into all of our OP stuff. We do stuff with Versus and Legendary, and this is going to fit right in there. And we don't have anything officially announced in terms of how our tournament structures will go, but because of that level system, there's a lot of options. You could do a leveling tournament where you play, and then whoever, the brackets naturally happen out of levels, or you could do a thing where the first set of the game, everyone plays at level 1. The next round of the game, everyone's level 5. So an escalation style, or just, hey, we're just doing top tier, this is a level 20 tournament. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in what we do around that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And we've also got, didn't release here, but it's just pretty brand new, is the Legendary World War Hawk. Everyone is loving that. It takes you through the story arc, essentially. You can play through the Planet Hawk, the gladiatorial phase, if you will. And then on the other side, it's the World War, you're fighting against Hawk. What heroes do you want to assemble to bring together and fight that scenario off? And we've got really cool mechanics, like the transfer mechanic, which really feels very Hawk-like, where you meet a condition and you get a different version of the card, you flip it over. And so that's going into some really fun territory.
Anything with Marvel, I'm like,
oh, I know.
Gimme.
Yeah, it's great. It's all great. It's all great. We're really loving it. I mean, that's why we keep making so many games for that. We've also, with Versus, we've brought in the other key thing, kind of similar to as a theme to what we did with the MCU Legendary. We've come out with the battles, the MCU battles, as well as an MCU villains and an MCU heroes decks for the Versus 2BCG system. And what that lets you do is play heroes. Now it's you can mix. It's all compatible. You can mix and match everything. But what's cool is if you haven't even played Versus, you can jump right in with the battle system. It has all the lands and all the tokens that you need to get started, and then you can expand there. And then there's so many fans that love the MCU that they come in. We're such a wide range with gamers, and so it all comes in, and you can just jump in. Exactly. And so, and so people, because for example, my girlfriend,
my Doctor Strange phone case for those that couldn't see what I was just showing him.
Yeah, I love the Doctor Strange stuff. It's so good. My girlfriend, she's a huge gamer now. Like, she always played video games. Yeah. She loves board games now, and I brought her in with actually the original Legendary, but I actually am picking up a copy of the MCU to play with her because that's what got her in. She's a huge fan of all the MCU stuff. Yeah. And so that's the perfect avenue to bring in a new fan to a system we already know works, right? Yeah. And so it's like if you're a big fan of Legendary and you've got friends that maybe aren't as huge into the other stuff but love the movies, or even people that aren't gamers, that's because the Legendary system is really good for bringing in new gamers. Yeah. And who doesn't want more people to play with? Yeah. Who doesn't want more people to play with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's... Oh, we've also got Legendary DXP. So it's, on the go. We've taken the Legendary system and we've built our own IP out of it, and it's a more fantasy setting, and you can play. Actually, the big announcement for that is that we've just gone free to play. It was originally a purchasable app, and it's cross-platform. That's one of the best things. Whether you're playing on your iPad, your Android phone, or Steam, same account works for all of it.
Cool.
And if you already bought it, don't be mad at us because you will get a content bundle for that as well. So when you log in, you'll get that. But it's fun because it takes the game. One of the other good things about Legendary in general is it's so good solo.
Mm-hmm.
This, you can play the versus mode against people. There's the solo mode where you just do solo missions. There's a campaign mode that has a big overarching map that you can go through, and each one is a scenario and you play through a story, and it's these games of Legendary that are like preset and go through, and they escalate in difficulty into little sections, and we've added some special boss ones where it's like when you get to the end of that little arc of the story, you're fighting a really tough version. It's a lot of fun, and it's in the mobile gaming world, there's so many not great mobile games that feel like half a game. This is the full game experience and then some. So it's a fantastic game if you're into the Legendary systems.
Cool. Very cool. And most everything's available online, I think?
I believe everything that we're launching here is either, if it's not available right now, it should be very shortly after. So we'll call it in August, probably an August release. Although I believe Dark Legacy might be a September release.
Okay.
That one is coming in a little later. It's actually an exclusive thing too, because with Dark Legacy, here at the convention, we have all 3 starter sets, all 3 expansion packs.
Okay.
You can get it all. It's bundled and everything, but we're doing a staggered release on the later expansions. It's launching with expansion 1, 2, and 3 are coming out a little bit later, so that the content kind of feeds through the year. But if you're a competitive player and you're here at Gen Con, getting it now and practicing with everything will give you a little bit of competitive edge potentially.
There you go.
Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so you said you're new to the
Yes.
gaming world. So what's your story?
I mean, I grew up with Monopoly, and
As did most people.
most of those
Everyone's flipped a board of game.
Yes.
Everyone has flipped a table with Monopoly on it. Yeah.
I had a Nintendo.
Okay,
growing up, but my brother is the bigger gamer.
Yeah.
So he took to it like a fish to water,
Yeah,
and I haven't really found anything that's has really grabbed me as something that I want to play on a regular basis. I have a handful of games. We've got a version of Ticket to Ride at home, and
I find that the key thing is finding the group that you always want to hang out with, and then the game
that
serves
helps too
as a nice social lubricant to keep oh yeah, cool, like you're hanging out, you're playing a game, and this day and age, everybody has a phone in their hand. My grandma's playing games. I'm like, you're playing Clash of Clans, Grandma? What are you doing? And so we all know what games are. It's been, thankfully for the video game industry, it's normalized gaming so much, and it's accepted so hugely. Yeah. And then you bring that into the tabletop world, which I personally prefer tabletop games because of the social element. You bring people to. It's back in the day, you used to sit on the couch and play Nintendo, but now it's like, no, I need the whole screen for my first person shooter. You go to play at your house online and log in. You don't come to my house, stay there. I don't have an extra TV. Yeah. And and even in the
that's good for us introverts.
That's true. That's true. Well, yeah.
Like you log into your Xbox and I'll log into mine,
and I can log out when I'm done.
Yeah.
But the thing about board games is the way they bring people together. That's what I think makes it special.
Yeah.
Is you're sharing an experience with someone, especially with some of the co-op, and that's why I love the Legendary system so much in our Legendary Encounters, is because to me, I love games. I love competitive games. I'm a very competitive person. I grew up on, Magic and some of that stuff when it first came out. But that's the thing. There's so many people that aren't. Or even when you're learning, it can be tough when I'm sitting down to learn a game, and it's a competitive game where I need to try to win, but I'm also trying to learn the game, and it can get frustrating. And that's what I love about a lot of our stuff is, no, sit down and play. And I'm not going to tell you how to play necessarily, maybe at first, but you're within a safer space to learn the game. And so co-ops are so good for bringing people into the hobby. And you don't have to worry about not being I play with a lot of people that aren't great gamers in terms of a technical aspect of everything, but they play for fun. I don't turn on my creative juices or my competitive juices. Yeah. We just sit down and play. And I still get to have fun and share it with them without, I'm going to play hard against this villain that I'm fighting, but I'm not going to criticize you because you didn't do the exact perfect combo or whatever. Right. So it translates so well to just a group of friends hanging out playing a game.
That sounds like my kind of speed.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too about Marvel, especially the combination of video games, normalizing videos, like video games, and then the MCU familiarizing people with all these characters.
Comics,
and that's why this MCU 10th Anniversary Edition is so awesome to me, is because it sits in that place where it's a really, like, even though Legendary is kind of a gateway game and to some, it's even more perfect because we streamlined it down to that, to make it a little, to make it where it's the more focused, and it incorporates these things that'll bring people in.
And my question is, with the Marvel Legendary stuff, is it all waterproof so when I'm drooling all over the artwork?
Out of the box, you might have some problems, but we do sell Legendary sleeves. So just get those in the sleeves.
Like when I start kissing the pictures of Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark.
No, you need the sleeves on there first. They're kiss-proof. You may want to double sleeve them. I don't know. That's a personal thing. But yeah, so you can bring it all together. It also comes with a nice playmat. It's a rubber playmat that rolls out, as opposed to the big foldable board, which just keeps the box size a little bit smaller. I know we're all starved for shelf space in this hobby.
And rubbers.
And the rubber mats are just nice. The art's on there is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a nice, efficient, streamlined design.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Nice to chat.
Hey. Introduce yourself.
Hi, so I'm Luke. I'm the community manager at Fantasy Flight Interactive, working on Lord of the Rings living card game, the world's first digital LCG. I love getting opportunities to say that. Yeah, so we're coming into early access on August 28th.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. So, and I've been kind of poking my head over the gentlemen that are at the computer in the booth.
We'll give you a demo in a second here, but basically what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring the LCG model to digital, but we wanted to do that more than just like not having randomized packs. And our packs aren't randomized. You know what you're getting always, which is a great sell. Again, things I love saying.
Yeah.
But it was really important to us to bring that spirit. So like when the LCGs came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, the whole idea was, there was a huge boon of card games, but they were all basically the same economic model. So the idea was, how can we do this in a little bit of a different way? And so we looked around at the digital card game marketplace, and we saw the same thing was happening. Mm-hmm. There were all these card games that were doing things the same way, and it was awesome, and they're great experiences, but they're very focused on PvP. Like, you're going to be grinding on ladders, you're going to be buying random packs, and some of that can get exhausting for some players. Mm-hmm. So what we really wanted to do was provide an alternative. We wanted to come into the market in a different way and provide an experience where it was story-based, narrative-based, focused on telling these great stories in Middle-earth, and no randomization in terms of packs, and things you can unlock all through gameplay. So everything in the game is locked behind gameplay. You can buy it with real-world money if you want to, if you fancy to, but you can also just unlock things through Valor as well. So that was really important to us when we were developing. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So why Lord of the Rings?
That's a great question. So it actually ties back into that LCG model, right? So the whole thing with the living card games, the cooperative ones, was that you and other players were coming together to fight this bigger force, which was the randomization of cards.
Yeah.
And so when we were moving over, like, here you and other players are coming together, banding together as heroes to take on an otherworldly force, but it's an AI that's basically cheating you, you know?
Yeah.
But that's Lord of the Rings to us. That's a bunch of heroes banding together to take on something that's so much bigger than them that they have no chance of beating, like, ever, unless they work together.
Right.
And so that's what the LCG model is for us. So it just made sense. And Lord of the Rings has been so important to the history of Fantasy Flight. The first one, it wasn't the first LCG, but it was close to it. It's one of the longest runnings that we've ever had. And it's just such an important property to us that matters so much. And we wanted to be able to tell those stories with our first digital game. And so here we are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, as far as fantasy is concerned, you really can't go wrong with Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. You know, you got this banner here with the logo and Gandalf looking like "You shall not pass."
I've seen that Gandalf so many times now because we use him in all of our promotional materials. Yeah. We love it. He's so ready. He's got those watery eyes. He's ready to just go for it.
Yeah.
You know? But going back to Tolkien fiction is really interesting because you get to see a lot of the origins of fantasy. But the thing that's really stricken me about working on the lore is that it is so unique and it is so not like other fantasy. Like, it's the origin point for other fantasy, but it's not like wizards shooting lightning bolts or anything like that. It's about how magic brings people together, and it's about how magic connects with the land too. And there's all these interesting story beats that Tolkien had, where it was like things are going. The method of it is things are going terribly. There's no way that we could possibly win, and then suddenly things could turn around. Frodo escapes the Nazgûl somehow.
Yeah.
The final battle of all those things. those stories, like that's the method of those storytelling, and we wanted players to be able to experience that while they were telling their own stuff too, because the feeling of like there is absolutely no way I'm going to win based on this board state, and then you draw the right card, like there's no better feeling the card games can give you than basically that. Yeah.
Like draw a card. Ooh, the Eagles are coming!
We definitely need an Eagles card.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be coming along the way. Well, speaking of stuff that's coming along the way, like we have all this stuff planned for early access. We have one campaign coming, and we'll have the second one during early access. But we're also going to be continually releasing cards. So the cycle is going to be new quests, new heroes, new cards, rinse and repeat. And we're going to keep doing that every year. We want to do this on a quarterly season.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that because we have the tabletop game to build on, like we have a lot of content that we can use as an origin point for that stuff. So it's been a lot easier for us to create expansion materials.
Yeah.
And with digital games, we don't have to worry so much about testing. Like we can issue a RATA and everyone gets it. You know, like any kind of balancing that needs to be done can happen on the fly.
Yeah. They're really into it over there, aren't they?
Yeah, they are getting into it. I hope they're winning. That's the thing. If they're
wow.
getting this into it and they're losing, actually, that probably means I'm doing my job right. Like if
they're winning, then I hate to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, we've completely, like, the experience is no longer, like, a lot of the tabletop game, you have to do a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of rule keeping, making sure everything is running smoothly. Here, the computer is going to take care of a lot of that bookkeeping, so it's just up to you to make the correct plays, or in my case, lose. That's all you have to do, while the game takes care of a lot of that bookkeeping. We've also changed it so that the game is now focused on specifically it's round-based rather than turn-based. So I'm going to take an action, Sauron's going to take an action. It's going to go back and forth until the gameplay completes.
Okay.
And it's a lot more fast because of that. It's actually pretty close to what happened with Star Wars Destiny, which is another Fantasy Flight Games property. We looked at that game and kind of the successes as well. And that's where we ended up with it. And we just wanted to make sure that it felt cooperative rather than competitive.
And then this is going to be on Steam?
Yep. So PC and Mac is the platforms that we've announced so far. That's for early access. That's going to go 3 to 5 months. That starts on August 28th. After that period, we're going to go full free to play on PC and Mac. And then who knows from the future, like we've always talked about other platforms and things we'd like to see, but the best thing you can do, if you want to see it on other platforms, the best thing you can do is bug me either on the internet or in real life so I can tell my boss how much you bug me about it. Because I know a lot of people are excited about possible other places you might see this game. And,
well, yeah, I mean, so many games like this and other digital games, I mean, there's still going to be your people that are sitting at home in front of their computer. That's my husband. That's me. And, playing something for hours on end. But then you've got so many people with tablets and smartphones, and people want to be able to be on the go. They don't want to be tied to, their chair and their computer desk at home. It's like, if I'm somebody that, I know I've got a 5-hour flight coming up. If I can pop this, on my tablet and play, and then the flight doesn't feel like 5 hours.
Right.
Great,
Exactly. Yeah. It's good to defeat Sauron on the go.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we got everything ironed out in that early access period. Like early access is such a great tool for developers to make development, turn it from what it is into a conversation, right? Like we want to have a conversation with the players about like, hey, do you think this is working? Do you think this is working? But we want to make sure that everything's ironed out before we go into that early access period.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to make sure the game felt polished and like lived up to Fantasy Flight's name, and we were just releasing something and kind of being like, well, it's early access. We don't want to shrug at players ever.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that was really important to us.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
We're very excited. Looks like we just lost our last hero. Yep.
Uh-oh.
That was a defeat on their side.
Oh, no.
All the ways to lose, too, yeah. That is actually my boss piloting it right now, so I'm going to have to razz him when we get done for him losing.
Like, you're the man in charge. How could you lose?
Yeah, so the other thing that we're doing is a really cool collector's edition. We're partnering with Asmodee North America for it. It's going to be included everything in the tabletop, everything in the digital game, but also a 2-player starter for the tabletop game. Okay. We are so excited about that. That 2-player starter is a lot of fun. I finally got to crack into one on Tuesday's stream. And we have it here. We have it here at the FFG case as well. You can see that 2-player starter, which has this beautiful, beautiful playmat, which is a map of Middle Earth, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And comes with a replica of the One Ring as well, which is very, very
cool.
Nice. A lot of nice stuff going in that. And those are open for pre-orders right now.
That's very nice.
Yeah, we're very excited about getting that in players' hands for sure.
I've seen some really, cool games with like really good artwork, and it's like, I don't know if I'd play the game. I just want to look at the pictures. Yeah.
And our art is absolutely gorgeous. Like, we can't beat the art that comes from FFG. It's so beautiful. And we get to use that in this game too. But just that presentation is so important to us, and making sure that the game is nice to look at. Because Lord of the Rings, it deserves that, right? So it's very, very important.
You got to do Tolkien justice.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing could beat the pictures you have in your mind of this kind of stuff.
Well,
so.
Well, for me, all the pictures I have of Middle Earth came from Peter Jackson, but he did have help with some renowned Tolkien illustrators, so that helps.
Let's jump in for the demo.
Sneaking in slowly. Like Gollum crawling in the shadows.
There's been so much of that. It's very exciting to be able to revisit the lore and look at it through a lens of like a creative lens, right? Having a bunch of marked volumes of the books on my shelf at work is a privilege.
Well, yeah, that too. So, and the thing is with Tolkien is with this particular IP, there's so much material.
Yes.
I mean, for the people that only ever saw the movies, they're not going to have any idea how much more there is, different characters and places and objects and stuff that, didn't make it into the movies. And then there's all this stuff that never got published.
Yeah, and we're totally working with Middle Earth Enterprises to make this totally loyal to those books. All right, so let's jump in here.
I set that there, maybe?
Sure.
Maybe. that might pick up.
Do you want to pilot? Go for it.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah. So
Yay.
every different quest you go on is going to have its own story here.
Okay.
So here we're along the forest, along the elf path. We're traveling through the forest edge. We're going from the King of Dale to the people of Grimbjorn the Old, and so we're moving our way through the forest that way. So go ahead and hit continue here. We can go on to the first location. So there's a lot going on in these initial setups. So our heroes are going to jump in. Our hero contributes to our starting threat.
Okay.
That's a number. If that number ever reaches 50, it's game over. It's going to go up by 1 every turn.
Okay.
And depending on how powerful our heroes are, their threats are going to be higher. So it's kind of a way of balancing the game, right?
Okay.
So now we get to start with our opening hand. So we have attachments. Those are things that go on your hero. We have allies, which are things that join your hero, like different characters. And there are events, cards you play once, and they have an effect on the board.
Okay.
You're going to get 3 resources every turn. So that's this cost up in the top corner.
Okay.
This is attack, this is willpower, and this is health. This is your stats. So here we can mulligan what we don't like. So definitely think we want to keep the veteran axe hand.
Okay.
Probably the caregiver as well, but we can probably get rid of these 3 cards because they're a little bit slower. So if you just click on the card there, you choose to mulligan. And then click on this one as well. And let's mulligan this round shield as well. And we can confirm. And we're going to get new cards to replace those. Okay, so that's a little bit cheaper, so that's a little bit better for us starting here. So the quest begins and we've got an objective. We've all hidden paths of travel. So instead of just focusing on combat, we're focusing on what we call questing. So you're going to go from different locations by unlocking them. So here's the hidden path is going to be your main objective.
Okay.
Once you get this number down to 0 by using your character's willpower here, the 2, the 3, and the 1 on your different heroes here. Once this number drops down to 0, you're going to be able to unlock travel to the next location and go on to the next level into the new setup.
Okay.
A quest is made up of about 3 to 5 locations. This one's going to be about 4. And you're going to have a choice at some point if you want to follow the path or if you want to go off of it and venture down the forest, basically. But looks like you're ready to go. So we've got some enemies in play, and like I said, the game's going to go back and forth. You're going to get the first action, then Sauron's going to get his. You see his resources are up in the top corner. And he can, of course, activate his enemies as well. If you click on one of these enemies, see they've got their attack value, their health value, and this one's got the keyword ranged.
Okay.
So you've got some different enemies in play that you could deal with. You can also encounter these side objectives. These side objectives have some benefit if you clear them. Like here, you're going to get 1 extra threat every round as long as this sits on the board, so that's probably something you want to get off the board as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you've got your main objective too. So if I'm a player, I can choose to just go straight for the main objective and travel as fast as I can, but I'm probably going to take a ton of damage off of Sauron's minions. So it's smart to kind of stay around and clear them off a little bit, get the heat off your back a little bit before you start traveling. So you're going to get your first action. You can either choose to activate a character or play a card.
Okay. I'm very bad at making decisions.
Well, there's a lot of enemies on the board right now, and so let's minimize how much damage we have. So let's attack into one of them. Let's use Aragorn, click on him, and drag him over to one of those enemies. He's going to engage him, attack him, defeat the enemy. So now Sauron's going to get his attack back. He chooses to come into Arwen, of course. But Gimli gets a benefit every time. If you click on Gimli here, every time he takes a character takes damage, he's going to get +1 attack. So that's the first time around. So now he's up to 3 attack. He can take out one of these other enemies now too. Nice. That gets him off the board. We'll see if this archer attacks now. Oh no! Instead, Sauron decides to play an attachment on one of his characters. And now you can activate one of your heroes. So Arwen can now finish off the side objective we have here. Let's do that so we don't get more threat. Cool. Oof. So this is another side objective that Sauron can play. Now he's going to reduce your maximum hand size to 3 cards. So if you click on that real quick.
So if you remember in the book.
Yep, so now at the end of the round he's going to make you discard down to 3 cards unless we clear this objective. Or we play 3 cards, basically.
Oh, okay.
Let's get some allies into play.
Okay.
Let's play a veteran axe hand here.
Okay.
This guy's a 2/1. Oh, that's a lot of health. He's going to be really good for us here. So if we click and drag him out into the play area, he's going to join. So go ahead and click on the card there. Boom. And he joins our allies, and that's our action for the turn. Oh, Sauron decides not to attack anybody.
Lazy.
Well, here, yeah, he's kind of baiting you into attacking since every time this guy gets attacked, your threat's going to go up because of that attachment.
Okay.
He's kind of trying to bait you. So you can either choose to attack into him, clear him off, get him off the board. You could attack this exhausted enemy so he can't attack next round. He'll be defeated. Or, you could also play one of these swords from your hands or one of these events. You have a couple of different options. So, there's a lot of junctures of decision making that happen in this game. There's a lot of choices you get at any point.
There are 5 quests in the initial campaign. This is one of those things, which you only buy what you want to buy. There's no buying.
+1 attack.
So you don't buy just stacks and stacks of cards.
Reduce an enemy to 0 attack. That's pretty good, but not in this particular situation. Since he's passed, you're clear. You're in the clear. Sneak attack grabs a random ally and puts it into play. And this is one of those things that, working on a digital game is so exciting, right? Because it doesn't just pull a random card from your deck or from your hand. It pulls it from literally the entire pool of cards we've designed. So things you don't even own can show up because of sneak attack, which is exciting. We got a sneak attack Gandalf earlier, which was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
That means that the luck's probably run out for the day. No one else is going to get one, I'm
Probably.
guessing.
Decisions. It's a good thing there's not a timer or anything, otherwise I'd be in trouble. Jeopardy theme would start playing.
Early access we're going to have early access that'll last about 3 to 5 months, and then we'll play it. And at that point,
I don't know what to do.
Well, let's clear
We're
off
bad
some.
strategists.
Oh, it works out all right. Let's attack into this 2/2 here since we've got him on the board and we can.
Oh, okay.
And then actually, Aragorn has a special ability where you can spend a resource to ready him up and use a second activation. So we could do that, but I think our resource is better spent on getting a warrior sword into play. So click and drag that out into the play area.
Okay.
Now we can equip it on one of these characters just by clicking on them, so it'll increase their attack by 1. So let's put it on Gimli to get him up to 4 attack. So he'll be ready for next round if he plays a 4 attack enemy. We're out of resources and actions, so we pass on to the next round.
Okay.
We're both going to get 3 resources, us and Sauron, and then we're ready to start up again.
Cool.
So yeah, that's how the pacing of a round works. Oh, Arwen, every round she gets to heal a character, so you can click on her to heal herself. Since she took a little bit of some hits there.
Some new cards.
Yep.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay.
You're going to get an action, and then Sauron will get an action back.
well, we're trying to heave as close to the book so we don't want to have situations.
If we get that 1/1 off the board, then he won't get any attacks, so we can attack into him.
We're sticking very close to trying. I mean, that was the tabletop.
Nice.
Did that very well. We're trying to
He's just playing side objective after side objective. But let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if everybody goes after the main objective and we activate Aragorn a second time, we'll be able to completely clear it and move on to the next location.
Okay.
So let's try to do that. Let's just gang it.
Okay. I like the
movement.
the movement. The little,
It is cool. And then if there's a ranged character, he gets to shoot a bow instead of attacking with a sword. It looks great.
yeah.
We put a lot into visual polish, making sure that it looked the way it should.
It's always,
Nice.
It always checks your system to make sure you get.
Now let's click on Aragorn there.
Okay.
Click on the power button. Ready him
You
up.
only have 2 cards in a deck.
Get an action off of it.
So we just
Boom.
So the system checks for that. Oh, you already
And we've unlocked travel.
Cool.
So now if you hit the travel button there, oh, we have to discard because of that objective. So let's get rid of these 2 caregivers. Go ahead and click on that. Hit that check mark. And we'll move on to the next location. So yeah, these quests are made up of 3 to 5 locations. They're going to ask you to do different things based on what happens. Some of them you're going to be rushing down a river. Some of them you're going to be fighting spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, giant
I'll
spiders.
pass.
Of the giant variety. Yeah, and
I'm
then
done.
It's all about story.
It's like there's spiders come up. I'm done flying by. No, thank you.
So yeah, that's the plan, and that's basically the pacing of the game and what's going to look like once we go into full release and
Cool.
early access as well. So yeah.
Cool. So where people can find more
Yeah,
information?
So, you can find us on Twitter at FFI_games. We also stream the game on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch at twitch.tv/FFI games.
Okay.
That's a great place to catch up with us, see where developments in case, and hang out and get to watch the game get played a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Cool. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for joining us.
Stop role-playing games. This is our first major board game. We've done some smaller stuff before, but this is the first major one. Me personally, I have a background working at Paradox on the publishing side with Crusader Kings 2 and Stellaris and some other games. So I'm familiar with the company and those games. And I always thought that CK, being with its heavy focus on characters and story and stuff, would be really cool to turn into a board game. And it was a natural step for us who doing role-playing games to this as a board game because of those facets, that juicy drama that really sort of takes our boxes. So that's why we're doing this. Are you familiar with the computer game, all of you, or not? Just shout if you're not, and I'll just good.
I played a lot. But.
Oh, you played. Okay. Yeah. It's a medieval strategy game. In the computer game, like and in the board game, you will control a dynasty of medieval Europe, fighting for power, influence. You will be crusading, all of these things. I think what sets Crusader Kings apart from other similar games is the strong focus on family and dynasty management, so to say. And that's really core in this game as well. There will be warfare on the map, but that's really comes the way to get there. To do that successfully, you first need to manage your family to stack the odds in your favor. So that's really like the core of the game. I should say what you're looking at is not the finished game. This is a prototype. We are changing some bits in the rules, but primarily there will be visual improvements. The map is going to be bigger, more detailed. The cards will look better. They're a bit dark now. And most of all, the miniatures, these are not our miniatures. These are just placeholders. Actual miniatures will be bigger and more detailed. And the Germans won't have pawns. They will actually have knights too. For some reason, the Green Knights didn't make it across the Atlantic, so we're stuck with pawns for those. So, yeah. Feel free to just interrupt any time with any questions. I thought that we'd obviously we don't have time to play a full game, but we'll at least get a feel for it, get started a little bit. So this is set up. There's going to be 5 different scenarios in the full game. So this is one scenario. It's set up for 4 players with these dynasties: the House of Normandy, the Salian dynasty, the Hauteville family, and the House of Capet French. So, yeah, I guess you have to share the French over there.
French are used to it.
Big country, they can handle
So in this scenario, there are the Iberian Peninsula is off limits because there's you can't play with 5, but now it's only 4, then so you cannot go into that area. All right, cool. The game is played out over 3 what we call eras, and in each era you will play 6 of these action cards, and those are a key component of the game. The action cards have 1 or 2 actions on them that you can perform with a card. They also have an event that will trigger when you play that action. And usually those events are usually bad for you or good for another player, so you'll have to balance playing the action that you want and the event that is probably going to hurt you in some way. So it looks like this. This is a plot overthrow card, and the event is a child is born, not to you, but to another player. So you basically, when you play this card, you will trigger that event for another player. So you have some control. Like in the computer game, the events pop up.
Yeah.
Here, they do that too, but you have some control over when they pop up and how.
Yeah.
I'm going to hide this out the back so we don't know.
I hope that one doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting power to have.
Yeah. So yeah.
Boom, parenthood.
Yeah. But in order, before you can have children, you need to get married and so on. So we'll get to that first. But you start
Details.
each era by drawing 8 cards. You'll be playing 6 of them in a full era, so you'll actually be discarding 2 of them. And you choose cards in quite freely. In the full game, you will actually see this from the other side too. But here it says how many of each of these cards you may take.
Oh, okay.
0 to 3 of those 3. These are build develop are for developing your realm. Those cards are for intrigue, and those are for warfare. This is the tax card and the crusade card. You need to take at least 1 crusade because you have to crusade at least once per era. So you take 0 to 3 of these 3, 0 to 2 tax cards, and 1 or 2 crusade cards. And all players do this at the beginning of the era. So let's start with English. So let's just you can draw a total of 8 cards to your hand from the action cards.
Okay.
You've added math to card draw.
Yeah. Math's
The
not
one
my-
thing math hasn't touched yet.
No.
So if you want to go heavy on warfare, you should probably take more of those. If you want to go heavy on developing a realm, a bit more of those, and so on.
I like that. It's cool though. Like getting the choice aspect.
So I just need 8 total.
8 total.
8 total.
And now we'll probably only have time to play 1 card each in the
Okay.
end. So in that sense, it doesn't really matter so much.
This one's the required one, right?
Yeah, it's at least 1 crusade.
Okay.
So what are these?
We'll go with that then.
So are these are I recognize these as the traits.
Yes.
Of the game.
Yes, and that yes, you will when you perform the actions, you will be using traits. Which I will.
I'm jumping ahead of that. I just noticed
That's
that. I was curious.
absolutely fine. That's another core thing of the game is that are the traits of your characters and of your dynasty. Starting out, and those I actually explain that. In that's another key part of this game, and those are in the pouches you have each in front of you. That's your trait bag. That's your bag of traits, and each of you now have 4 traits in it, and those are the starting traits for your starting king. So you can have a look at those just to see. There's going to be 2 red and 2 green tokens in each bag. So that's Philippe the first. Is lustful, attractive, generous, and gluttonous. That's a good combination.
Very French.
So when you perform an action, you generally draw a random trait, and to succeed, you will want to draw a green.
Okay.
I say, and if you draw red, you will usually fail. I say usually because for some actions, certain red traits are actually counted as successes. For example, when the cruel trait is generally a negative trait, but if you invade, cruel is good. Right. So you have your 8 cards. So now it's your turn. We can help you if you don't want to reach.
How about 1 crusade, 2 tax, 2 build. That's 5. So 2 plot, and then raise.
Raise Davis for Bay.
raise,
That's
yeah.
a war card. That's 8. Awesome. Yeah. So when you do this, of course, you can get a little bit of a sense of what the other players are going to be focusing on. You won't know exactly what they will be doing, but if you see your neighbor drawing a lot of war cards, that's an indicator that, okay, he's on a war path. So you can tell a little bit what they might be up to in the era to come by just looking at what cards they draw. So it's French.
I'll take 2 of these.
The art's beautiful.
4 of these.
Did you use assets from the game, or did you get new art?
It's a combination
Okay.
actually. Some of the event pictures are from the computer game, but there's also some original art for the board game. So it's both.
I'll just
Alright.
let you look at the.
You all have your 8 cards?
Yeah.
Nice. So as you can see, you have your actions on top on the banner, and then you have the events that you will trigger on the bottom. And these, most of those events are unique. There's only one on each card. A few are recurring, like childbirth, are quite a few because that's something that's going to happen quite often in the game. All right, cool. We move into the first turn, and the first thing you do is every player who's not married gets to perform the marry action. And usually at the beginning, you're not married. And marriage is important because you want to get the right traits into your trait bag, and you also want children. And later in the game, you will be able to marry into each other's families, but that requires you to have children, which you don't at the beginning. So in the beginning, you need to go to these random spouses from lower houses of Europe over there, and they each have a random trait on them. This is part of the setup, but I'm doing it now just to sort of demonstrate. So let's see, Thomas, he is a gardener. All right, cool. What's the next guy? Heinrich. He is content. Another green. These are both green. This is 50-50 in this bag, so they can be red or green. Let's see. Margarita is brave. That's a good trait. All greens
All
are
good picks.
very good picks.
Heinrich, content's not very fun.
Isabel is haughty. That's not a good one.
I think that's like although Catherine's very fun.
And Catherine, who is godless.
Blasphemy.
Goodness. So now you actually have 2 red and 1 green there of the ladies. And since in this scenario all starting kings are male kings, they have to marry females. This is the Middle Ages after all, so you're stuck with that.
Tell that to Alexander the Great.
So you're up first. So in order to marry, you can automatically marry a spouse with a negative trait. They will accept your proposal, no questions asked.
Oh,
they're happy you asked them. So that's fine. However, if you marry them, their negative trait will go into your trait bag, which you probably don't want. So you probably want to go for the good one, which is Margarita the Brave.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you need to make a trait check. That's like rolling dice. And you'd make a draw from your bag, and if you draw a green, you succeed. You can, however, pay money to get extra draws. So for each gold you pay, you get 1 more draw. You have to decide before you start drawing. So that's a question. If you just draw, it's now a 50-50 chance that you'll succeed. If you pay 1 gold, of course, you will increase the chance that you will actually make it. Otherwise, you will refuse your proposal. So it's up to you.
I'll just go for it.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Love is a dangerous game.
Yeah. Right. So what do you get?
Strong.
Oh, she's impressed by your
goes well with bravery.
strength.
Well, I am William the Conqueror, so.
Margarita is now your wife, and her brave trait
baby.
goes into your. So both of these go into your trait bag. So now you have 3 green and 2 red. So you have increased your chances of succeeding with all kinds of stuff. And now, yes, exactly, we draw another, because this should always be 3 eligible spouses there. Of course, now there is a risk that they will all be red if I draw another red one. So that can happen, and I did. Because Diana is an imbecile. So it's your turn. Unfortunately, you can elect not to marry. That's possible. If you want to have children, you need to marry. So it's usually better to marry even a spouse with a negative trait. So it's up to you.
I mean, if
you want to marry or not. And these are.
If she's dumb, I mean, that's not the worst negative trait.
Yeah.
You have an imbecile, Diana the imbecile, Isabel the haughty, and Catherine the godless. Yeah,
But I'd probably want.
It's not a good choice, but
I'd probably want a dumb spouse over one that's gonna fight back.
What queen is it, haughty? I mean, you're not really getting anything unexpected in that marriage.
That's true.
So I'll do the imbecile one.
All right. Nice. So she's now your wife, and the imbecile trait goes into your trait bag.
Hopefully it's not genetic.
Let's see. If
Felicia.
Felicia. Let's see if I draw. She's charitable. That's a good trait. Okay, so it's the Hotville families, the Ricardo Giscardo. Is getting a wife?
I'm going to try for Felicia.
Nice. Are you paying gold to get extra draws?
Do I have gold?
You have gold. You all have some starting gold.
How do I pay for? Is it 1 gold?
1 gold is 1 extra draw, but you need to decide before you start drawing how much you want to spend.
I'm going to only pay 1.
Yeah. So that means you get 2 draws. You draw 1 at a time. If you succeed, you stop drawing, so you don't draw 1 at a time.
Hey!
You made it right off, and this is clever. So yeah, she's impressed by your cleverness and accepts your proposal. And she's now your wife. So, okay, let's draw another random spouse. She is Giselle, who is
it's quite the hat.
ugly. Uh-oh, sorry.
No.
So,
It's
now
the hat.
House of Capet, Philip I has another pretty bad range of choices there. Who are
You're going to go with the
haughty.
You can't,
Okay.
yeah, you can inherit otherwise. You
That's
can't inherit
haughty
ugly.
with an A-U-G-H, not
Yeah.
O-T.
It's not Hotty, no. Afraid not. Okay, so let's flip up another card because even though you're all married now, people die in this game. So there could be a need for new.
People
further-
died in the Middle Ages?
Oh,
No.
when you can spontaneously induce pregnancy, anything's
That's true.
Gudetta is kind, so that's, All right, so now we move into the first turn, and what you do is you reveal the first of the two cards that no, we didn't do that yet. Yeah, so you now for the first turn you pick two cards of the 8 that you want to be playing in the first turn, and you place them face down in front of you, with the top card to be played first, and the second card you want to play underneath. So you program your actions 2 cards at a time, hidden from the other players. It's worth noting that before you can invade, you must raise an army, so you can't have to raise levies before you can invade. You also need casus belli to invade. In this scenario, you already have casus belli against some other dynasty. Some things like that. Crusading is a dangerous move to do right off before you have heirs, because if you fail at a crusade, the one you send dies, and if you only have a king, you have to send a king.
This is bad. I got some bad cards.
Yeah, me too.
And of course, you can see the events that you will be triggering when you play these cards.
So are these? We put these down.
Yep.
That they will be affecting us.
The events will be affecting you if it says self. If
Okay.
it says other, it's going to affect the next player in line, the player to your left.
The region. If you have a region, does it not do anything, or is that?
Sorry?
The cards that refer to a region.
Yeah.
We don't have regions yet. I don't think.
Yeah, region that's actually a typo in a sense. That's basically your king.
Okay, so it affects the king.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, cool. So you choose 2 cards each, placing them exactly face down with the first card you want to play on top.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't.
Where are they going?
Yeah, anywhere where there is some, probably on the side there, yeah, where they are.
Throw it in the chat.
Some space.
I got an amazing card that I can't use probably, but I love it.
So some events, like say,
None of these are
have a
good.
requirement, and if it's a self card has a requirement, you don't fulfill the requirement, the event does not trigger. If it's an event that affects another player and that player does not live up to the requirement, the effect skips to the next player in line. So. And
What are age tokens?
Age tokens, for every turn when 2 cards is a turn played, the king gets an age token. When he gets his 5th age token, he dies of old age. So your kings will die. They can die sooner, and then there are event cards that actually make them age faster if they're unhappy about something, or live longer if something's going well in their life. So the age can shift a little bit back and forth. All right, just let me know when you're chosen your 2 cards.
I think. Oh.
These are just.
All right, great. So we play the first round. We probably only have time to play the 1 round, so you can reveal your first top card there, and we'll see. All right. So this is a raise levies invade card. Since you don't have any armies raised yet, you cannot invade, so you'll have to raise levies, raise armies.
Yep.
That doesn't require a trait draw, and it doesn't cost anything right off, but it will cost you at the beginning of the next turn. So it's like one of those things where it feels good to raise a lot of armies, but the bill will come later on. You are the English, so you can raise armies in as many provinces as you like. That will enable you to invade a neighboring province with another action.
Sweet.
It will also make that province harder to invade, so it also works defensively. So where do you want to raise armies? This one shouldn't be here. This one. Normandy maybe, because that's where you have a lot of enemies.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Sure. Let's go with Normandy.
Alright. You just place one of your foot soldiers, because these knights, they represent your vassals, they represent the control.
Okay.
And when you raise an army, you place a foot soldier. So that now means that she can attack neighboring provinces from the province, and it will also be harder to invade Normandy now. Cool, and then you trigger an event. What's the event?
Someone's having a baby.
Someone's having a baby, and that always goes one step to the left as long as that person fulfills the requirement.
Congratulations, Papa.
Heinrich is married, so he has a spouse, so yeah, you have a baby. So then you draw a
Another
random
mouse to
character
feed.
card from that pile. This is your firstborn, it's Otto. You place him on the child, and then let's see what Otto's like. You draw a random trait for Otto.
Hey Thomas, can you get to a stopping point?
He's timid.
He's timid. And then
Otto.
you do not actually place that straight into your bag.
Okay.
That will only go into your trait bag when and if Otto inherits the throne. So and timid was a negative trait, right? So if something would happen to
what he
Otto
gets for having a
before
dumb
he inherits
spouse.
the throne, if you have another son or that has a better trait, you might try to do something to avoid Otto inheriting the throne. If you don't want timid Otto to rule your dynasty.
We're getting Shakespearean
It's
here.
like a German fairy tale.
All right, so we'll do this real quick to wrap up. Is it all right? Yeah. Your first card also raise levies and invade. You'll also need to raise armies then, since you haven't done so previously. You're the Germans. Where do you want to place armies?
I'll go with South Germany.
That sounds good. And you have the event. What's going on?
Province under your control rebels against your rule. Place the knight figure on its side to indicate this. While the province is in rebellion, it cannot be taxed and you cannot raise levies there. To restore full control, you need to invade the province. You automatically have Cassius Belli.
Right. So you choose one of these provinces is actually an open rebellion to your rule. So you will, in effect, you lose it. You can invade it automatically. You don't need Casus Belli. So, but in effect, it's an open civil war in Hungary right now. Bad for you. Okay, your card, top card.
Plot overthrow.
Yeah. So plot overthrow. So
I had one different one, but then she played it, so I kind of want to see a different card, so I changed it.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Since this is demo, it's allowed. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You cannot overthrow. The overthrow actions means that you can remove someone else's control, but it can only be done in a province where there is unrest. There is no unrest in the map right now, so you'll have to plot.
He has a civil war.
Yes, but that's a separate thing. That's technically not unrest. It's worse than unrest. However, so you have a number of plots to choose from. They're on the list of actions on the back of your reference card there.
Here?
Yeah, it's under your phone.
Sorry.
On the other side.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so you can manufacture Casus Belli again to be able to attack someone else.
Okay.
You can incite unrest to create unrest in the province. You can murder any character on the game board can be murdered. You can even murder kings, but that's more difficult.
Okay.
Possible. And you can bribe other players' counselors, like this court physician over here. If you want that guy, you can bribe him to come to you instead.
I'm going to incite unrest in Provence.
Right. That's a trade check. You can pay gold to do it if you want, or you
I'll just draw one.
draw.
I'm deceitful.
And that's actually, normally deceitful is red, but deceitful is a crit. It's a critical trait for the plot action, so that's a success. So now there is unrest because you are the Italians, yes. So now there is unrest in Provence. You can get an unrest token. There's one there. Now that the province can be overthrown, which means the French would lose control over it. Okay, so the final card, the French.
We had develop, build, great feast.
So the develop action, you can buy these development
Oh, I have a
cards.
plague too, by the way. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, did we miss your event?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
I'm
The
sorry.
plague.
I have a plague.
Ah. So that's you'll place a plague token in any province under your control. That's going to be bad next time it's taxed, because then the plague can spread. So
you can put it in Sardinia.
You wanted to or you can build a castle. That's the other action, the build action. Then you will have a castle like this that will work defensively. It's harder to invade the province with a castle, and it also gives you more tax money when you tax the province. You are the French. You can or you can buy these development cards.
Diemaster, Plate Armor, and Royal Guard.
Build castle.
Building castles costs 1 gold just to try it, and then to complete it costs 2. But I think you have enough gold. You can use.
Yeah, we have 7. We only need to use 3 for this.
Yeah.
All right. So
Spend
we'll
1.
Okay, 1 round. So,
You spend 1. Then you need to make a trade check. You need to make a trade. If you can spend more gold to increase your chances of success. But since it's the last card, let's just draw.
Yeah, generous.
Generous. You made it. You have to pay 2 more gold, and you have now a castle in Alsace.
Need to make
as
change.
well. And you had a great feast. That's your event.
So
What's
we
that?
are gluttonous, so we have to pay 3 gold. And we get the generous trait, but we already had it.
Rip.
Ah.
You're broke. And
Normally
you
it
pay
would
nothing.
cost 2 gold, but now it costs you
Yeah, since
3.
we are gluttonous.
Well, it's a great feast.
Yes. So you pay 3 gold. That's a pretty big feast.
Yeah.
But you
It was a
get
great
that,
feast, not
great.
an average
generous
feast.
trait.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can get that again. That's no
Double
problem.
gen. Oh yeah, because it's odd.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
very generous. Yeah, I can't find it right
Which
now.
is why the feast was so great.
Yeah.
I can't find it right now, but it should be in there.
Put it
then
in,
you
pretend.
will get an extra positive trait from that.
Nice.
So that's how it plays out. This was just the first round, but then it goes. Usually in the beginning, you start planning things, you do small moves here and there, and then it moves more and more into conflict as the game progresses. But now it's time to move over to EU. So
Move into the future.
yeah. So it's if you have any
We might have
questions
slide
later
door
on,
share over here, I think.
feel free to get in touch and grab that folder.
So yeah, it's 3 players on this side of the table and 1 player on this side. Okay.
I'll just sit over here. I can share with somebody.
I'll share it with you.
And we're moving.
Right, you can find lots more information about the CP game on the pledge manager that's now active. So have a look at that if you want.
Then, now.
Okay, now we move into the next stage.
Kind of.
In a way. So do you want
Still
more
in
rates?
flux.
Okay, so are you guys all familiar with Europa Universalis, the computer game? No? Yeah. Well, in many ways, it's the computer game where it all started for Paradox. It's the first major release. And curiously enough, it was originally based on an old board game. A board game that came out in 1993, but it was a board game of the old school, so to speak, so it could take about 300 hours to play a board game, from what I've heard. So we're not looking to recreate the old board game, we're looking to make a game you can play in a game night, and that means we have scenarios with a play time of about 90 minutes to 120 minutes, and then we have a grand campaign of about 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
So that's still pretty epic, but not quite where it was. So obviously it's not a direct translation of the computer game, which is also very epic, but it translates the major concepts of the computer game. So it's in essence a 4X game set in a historical context of the time period from 1444 at the end of the Middle Ages until 1821 at the end of the Napoleonic Wars. So those are quite a few centuries to cover. Yeah. And throughout that time period, the world changed in many ways. And you will be part of that change. You'll be exploring the new world. You'll be conquering various territories. You'll forge diplomatic relations. You could integrate other nations into your country diplomatically. You can trade. Lots of different things that will enable you to follow different strategies of building your empire. Also, you can build the infrastructure inside your own country. So you could, in theory, play through a whole game without having one single war.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Well, you also have to be lucky enough that no one declared war on you. So, for this setup, it's a little bit of a modified 1444 setup. We have Austria as the Holy Roman Emperor. We have England over here, we have France, they're in the middle sort of the 100 Years' War, although we're at the ceasefire moment. Also we have Castile down here, who later turned into Spain. And what you see on the board is provinces. You have big provinces and small provinces. The small provinces give you a tax income of 1, while the big provinces give a tax income of 2. Then you also have influence, and influence is a political influence that lets you perform certain actions. They're necessary to perform some of the actions on the card, for instance, from the diplomatic bank. You also have various diplomatic relations already in place. England has a claim on this Scottish province over here, while France is in alliance with Scotland. The French have claims on all the English provinces inside of France. Spain has a claim down here on Granada, a marriage with Aragon, while Austria has a claim on this Venetian province and a marriage with Bavaria. Marriages, they make it harder for others to remove your influence. Alliances enables you to take that ally into the war that you're currently in. And claims give you a casus belli, as he was talking about, a valid reason for war. So you will recognize some of the concepts from Crusader Kings, but this is more, the game is more on the board and less in the dynasty bit. Well, the game is divided into rounds, and each round has 4 phases. It's a draw cards phase where everybody simultaneously draw cards. Then it's the action phase, which is the meat of the round, where everyone alternates taking turns, performing just one action at a time. And this means that downtime is very low. And one action would be one of the basic actions, I'll get back to them, or playing a card. So we'll look at the cards. And there are 3 different types of action cards. It's the administrative cards, the diplomatic cards, and the military cards. And they represent different paths that you can follow, and also correspond with 3 different types of monarch power that you have available in these pools on your personal board. And you have to expend these points to perform the actions. So we can look at a couple of cards of each type. You can see on the face of the card as well what type of card it is from the color of the circle in the top left corner. All cards are dual function, which means that on the scroll at the top you have an action that you can perform, and the cost of that action is in the top left corner. Then at the bottom you have a personality, and you have 2 different types of personalities. You have the circular portraits, which are leaders that can be used as rulers of your nation or as generals commanding your armies. Your armies will be much more efficient with a general commanding them. The square portraits are advisors, and they give you a bonus income in the monarch power area that they represent. So for instance, Joseph over here, he's a diplomatic advisor that will give you a +2 on diplomacy. You already have a +2 Joseph already there though. Okay, so some cards also have a gold cost in addition to the monarch power cost. From there, I think we'll try to jump right into it, if that's okay. We'll do it so that Austria starts off, and you may look at your cards over there. So there are 2 types of cards I didn't explain. You have some area cards in your hand, and those enable you to perform some actions in those areas. They can be played together with, for instance, a spy network to secretly have a spy network in an area of the map. Or you can play them to trade in the trade node described at the bottom of the area card. So if you wanted to trade, which is a basic action, you have to spend 1 administrative or 1 diplomatic point, and then you would get the income from the trade node where you're trading. Get back to that. Event cards, they have some events which are generally not very positive, and you have to play that card before you can pass, and by passing you say that that's it for me this round, I'm not going to take any more actions. If you're the first player to pass, you get 4 gold. If you're the second player to pass, you get 2 gold, and the last 2 players don't get anything. Once you pass, no one can declare war on you. That's also important. So, one good move for you as Austria starting off might be to, for instance, arrange a royal marriage. You can see it requires you to have 2 influence to be able to do that, which you have in this area and this area. Over here you already have royal marriage with the most attractive country inside that area, but over here you have got Burgundy, who's also got these provinces, so that might be, you know, a good country to form relations with. So if you want to play that card, you play 2 diplomatic cards to do it.
Okay. So
you put those back in the supply, but you actually get 1 more influence there as you play the marriage. And so you also place the marriage token on Burgundy, like so. And that's your turn. And then we move on to Spain. So, I guess we can play with open cards if everyone's okay with that. But,
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's interesting choice because we have a Burgundian succession crisis.
All right. So. Okay. Let's see. Okay. You can play one of these cards that develop your infrastructure, which basically would be develop province or increase manpower. That would increase the amount of troops available to you, or it would increase your income in the long run. But these are actions that are actually 2 steps, so you have to first do this, and the next round you have to put another 2 cubes on here. Another thing you could do is place influence, and placing influence is a basic action. You can just transform these diplomatic cubes on your board into influence on the main board. So, for instance, if you manage to get 5 influence in this area, you will get an automatic alliance with either Aragon or the small country here of Navarra. So that might be an interesting thing to do. So that would be paying 2 diplomatic would give you 2 more influence here. You can maximum place 2 influence in 1 area in 1 turn.
Yeah, I think I'll develop the province.
All right, yeah. So that's a cost of 3 administrative points and 5 gold. So
Okay.
So that's 5 gold.
Okay.
And then 3 points from
Oh,
here
okay.
back into your supply. So you place a card here next to you, and next round you can place 2 more cubes here. Right. So that's the Spanish turn, and then you go on to France. As you can see, you are you already have a valid reason for war against England. So, I'm not saying you should do it. I'm saying that you could do it. What you might want to consider, of course, if you're going into war against a major nation, is to recruit some more troops. And a recruit action costs 1 military point, and then you have to pay 2 gold for each infantry unit that you recruit. 5 gold for each cavalry unit that we recruit.
Okay.
Also, employing a general is an action, which is also good.
I have a card here under military.
Yeah, that's a military advisor.
Okay.
He gives you 1 more cube every round, but he's not a general. But you can always use your ruler as a general at the risk of him dying in
battle.
So yeah, is that your advisor? Slide him underneath the board so that you don't confuse it with your hand, because the action is really not apply.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah,
So-
I haven't really looked at your cards yet. Also, the spy network is something which could be interesting, of course. Creating a bit of havoc in some other players' territory, or you can. Optionally, you can try and do some trade or something. Royal marriage, if you want to form some relations. You have 2 influence down here, so you could get a royal marriage with Provence. They also own that province and that province, so not such a bad country to get good relations with.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So you have to pay the 2 diplomatic points that the card costs, and you get to place 1 more influence in that area. So take one of those cubes that you just paid and put it here, and find the royal marriage token there, and place it on here.
Oops.
So.
I love weddings.
Yeah. Okay, so royal marriages makes it twice as hard to remove your influence from that area.
Okay. I'm kind of curious about trade. What do you think?
Yeah.
We can also marry, or.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where we were married. We don't really have influence anywhere.
Yeah.
England is a good nation to build a trade empire with. They've got all these sea areas close to them. Already have a merchant present in this and this node. A merchant gives 1 trade power, while any province on the card that you play also give 1 more trade power. What you can also do to increase your trade power is move ships out to protect the trade at that node. So that will give 1 more trade power for each ship.
What do these do?
Yeah, so you to trade, then you would pay, let's say, 1 diplomatic point. You play this card and you say, all right, I want to trade in the North Sea, for instance.
Okay.
You don't have any provinces on that card, but you have 1 trade power from this guy over here. But just 1 trade power really only gives you 1 gold, and you would rather want to keep your diplomatic or administrative power. So you would want to increase your trade power so you can score from the higher stuff here. So sending, for instance, those 2 ships out there, you would be able to collect more gold next turn instead. But this card is better for trade because you have a lot of provinces there already. So that's a better option if you want to trade right away.
Okay, we're gonna trade with France.
Okay, so we play the France card to trade here. Now, if France had a merchant here, they would also get an income. But since they don't get anything. So you have a trade power of 2 for the big one and 1 for each of those. So you already have 5 trade power from those and 6 from that. So you score the top one and you collect 4 gold. So if you give me 1 back, sorry, you should actually have 15 already. So if I give you...
That's 15.
There's
a silver coin.
You've got 1 silver coin. So silver is worth 1 while the gold is worth 5. Okay. And you have to pay either 1 administrative power or 1 diplomatic power to play the trade action.
Yeah, we have the same as well.
Yeah.
But no one likes it. That's the point.
Okay, so that's your action.
Woo! I like the. I'm glad. I like that there's the worldwide aspect. I was wondering about how that was going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to it because the demo is so short. But it would be an exploration thing, and you would have to develop the technology for Quest for New World, and then you would start drawing cards from the exploration deck.
Okay.
That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, it's like 4 steps away from where we are.
Yeah. I want to increase my stability.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. Costs 4 administrative points, and you just move this one step up. And that gives you 1 more gold each round, and also 1 more cube of any choosing. So you could choose which one you need the most. Okay, so that's your action. I'll just put these cards over here, if that's okay. Yeah, also the cards that you play, that's Royal Marriage, right? And,
No, we didn't play that. We played the French one.
You changed your mind.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we just have these open so people can see.
All right. No, it's France to play the Royal Marriage.
Yeah, they're married. We traded.
You're more stable.
And married.
So where did the French Royal Marriage card go? Sorry. Trying to keep track.
Oh, I've got it over here.
Yeah, I just put it here. All right. So, Spain, right?
Right. So do I do this now?
No, it's next round. So it's after everyone
okay.
passing, and so it's a kind of long-term project in a way. So, and also you don't have 2 more cubes of that type, so you wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. You can employ more advisors. You can employ generals. Both of those would be good ideas. Also, this little nation over here is pretty much a sitting duck, so you could gear yourself towards a war versus Granada, the Muslim province of Granada. So that would be completing a Reconquista. And normally we would have some goals with victory points on them, secret goals that every nation would be specific to every nation. So completing one of those goals would give victory points. But
Here. Take control of one of the cardinals of the people.
Yeah, so that would be putting one of those tokens down here, and now you have got two cardinals of the papal curia and a majority, and that would enable you to start performing these actions over here. So calling crusade would be calling crusade against a heathen nation, giving everyone a casus belli against that nation. Excommunicating someone would be finding a player that you don't like and giving everyone a valid reason to declare war against that player. So you pay 2 administrative power. Sorry, you don't have that, so you cannot do it.
So you can't do it.
Sure.
Okay, well then here.
Placing influence is always a good idea if you don't really know what to do.
So, placing influence is just putting...
Converting diplomatic points into influence on the main board.
Okay.
So, for instance, you could place
let's do that.
2 influence over here. That's the maximum for one province. Then you're 1 token away from getting an alliance here. And you could place the other 2 in another place, but you can also save them if you want to put it here later on.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. France. I should say before you can pass, I don't know if I already said it, you have to play your event card. So you might want to consider whether the best thing is to play it at the beginning or at the end of your
entertaining. If it will do anything. I'm not sure. Technically, it would hurt France. I think. So royal marriages, if they place it, it's happened. Like it exists. It's not,
the royal marriage
waiting or anything, or
sorry, if
there's no like waiting period or.
No, not at the moment. It's just in fact until something happens that may remove it. But yeah. Okay. It's basically your dynasties getting closely knit. Yeah. Okay. Whose turn was it?
Did you go, France?
No.
Yeah, so that's one area where you can actually get some trade income.
Yeah.
Not such a bad idea. Playing it right away, then we'll be counting your provinces on there. So you've got 2 provinces on the card, and you've got 1 trade power from this guy as well. So you've got 3 trade power giving you 4 gold, and Spain has 1 trade power giving him 2 gold. So he gets a bit of trade income as well.
You're welcome.
So you have the 1 for change.
Yes.
So, and we just give that to you. Okay. All right.
Money.
We are going to pass.
Now you have to play the event first.
Okay. Burgundian Succession Crisis.
Okay, Burgundian Succession Crisis. Oh, that was almost a board game crisis. If you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only problem with food in a close setting like this.
Well, I printed this on PVC anyway. So.
Still.
Okay, so the Burgundian Succession Crisis. This is what happens. France inherits Picardy if still Burgundian, and that's that province over there. So this becomes French.
Oop.
And if Austria still has a royal marriage with Burgundy, they inherit the remaining provinces of Burgundy. So Austria having a royal marriage over here actually get the rest of the Burgundian provinces.
Yeah.
So
it's like in France.
So that would be.
We're just role playing.
Yeah. So
your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of it.
Suddenly we have a big Austrian presence over in Western Europe here. This little symbol over here indicates that you would roll for any unrest on the board, seeing if rebels rise, but there are no unrest tokens at the moment. So
very peaceful crisis.
Yeah. So So you got, well,
Did we get money?
you got lucky, you know, you got the marriage and then he played it right into your hands. Okay, so back to Austria.
So then, since we paused first, does that mean we get the 4
Yeah, well, actually, next time it's your
Oh,
turn.
next
You
time.
say pause.
Okay,
and
okay,
take.
okay, I got you.
You paid the troll.
Then we start wrapping up.
Alright. I guess we have to read
Sorry, guys. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Someone else is gonna have to inherit our mess.
Okay, so you start with the introduction anyway to
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at Patreon at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to help keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit mymerch.us. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all on the next episode.